So Erik Ten Hag has been sacked as Manchester United manager. I think it's just been a matter of time before it was going to happen. Of course, they were defeated yesterday by West Ham in a 2-1 win for West Ham, which some people said was controversial because of the penalty decision. But this was always coming, and I think even most Manchester United fans probably knew it was coming. I think there was even calls for him to go last season, which I thought were deserved because, I mean, you can look at the Coventry game where, yes, they did get the FA Cup final and did end up winning it, but I mean, this guy was doomed from the end of last season. And even after they won the FA Cup, they looked for a new manager. They couldn't find one and basically stuck with him because he was the only guy they had, which basically just had them as a dead man walking for the opening games of the season. And now we're 9 games into the Premier League season and he's been sacked. There was a meeting the last couple of weeks to see if he was going to get sacked, and they chose not to do it. And they've sacked him a few weeks later, so it looks like they've just wasted more time. And it kind of just makes the Ineos group look very stupid, in my opinion. Like, why have they waited this long? They've wasted 9 games, basically, and they wasted another, £200 million on this guy who brought in his own players, and a new manager's going to need to come in and work with them. And Man United fans and the new manager's going to need to hope that these players are good enough. And it was just Erik Ten Hag that was not suitable for the job. I've thought that Erik Ten Hag had to go for quite a while because we just did not see an identity. And we've seen different examples, even around the Premier League, of managers just coming in and you can see their style of football immediately. And yes, he won the 2 trophies, but if Manchester United want to get back to where they were, like where they used to be, was when they were winning Premier League titles and challenging for Champions Leagues. They weren't just battling for the top 4, and I mean, they're not even battling for the top 4 anymore. They're literally finishing outside European places, and they're basically having to win a cup every season to get in Europe. So yeah, it's not a great situation they found themselves in. Their standards have been slipping every single season. So, I mean, this was always going to happen. We knew that Erik Ten Hag was going to go. It was just when it was going to happen. So yeah, he's gone. And looking back, I thought Erik Ten Hag was the right appointment. I think he done an amazing job at Ajax, and even though how it's went at Manchester United, you can't say he wasn't the right appointment. Like, he was one of the most exciting up and coming managers in Europe at the time. Like, he got Ajax to a Champions League semi-final. He won everything in the Netherlands. And I mean, look at Ajax since he left; they've been an absolute disaster. But yeah, I don't know why it's went so wrong at Manchester United. We never seen that kind of Ajax football that we thought we were going to see at Manchester United, and it's just not happened. It kind of seems like he's just been playing survival football. I'd probably say like a few weeks after he got the job. I think when he went in there, he did try to play in the front foot, and maybe he just thought he couldn't do it. And from there on, it just looked like he was playing survival football for me. And I think it was especially evident from last season, and obviously this season as well. Like, they were just going downwards. I think it goes back as well to when Ralph Rangnick, before Ten Hag came in, said that whole squad needs gutted, like it needs open heart surgery, and I mean, he couldn't be more right. People laughed at him, but Ralph Rangnick does know when it comes to recruitment and how to rebuild a squad. Like, I think they maybe should have kept someone like him around who knew the squad, worked with the players, but they went with Erik Ten Hag, and Erik Ten Hag can't have any complaints. He's sitting 14th in the league, and he spent £600 million. And it's on players that he knows. It's players that he has had previously. Every single player that he signed, apart from a couple, have had a link to him. So he has been behind every single signing. I don't think anyone can convince me that he hasn't had a hand in nearly every signing. But now it's what they do next. Van Nistelrooy has been made the interim manager, which I think we all knew was going to happen after we seen he was the new assistant. I think Ineos probably had it in their head that if they did have to sack him, that Van Nistelrooy would be a decent interim until they get an actual manager. You would think that they are going to go and get a manager. They have said in the statement that he'll be the interim until they appoint a manager. But the worst thing that can happen is that they give another job to an interim manager full-time. They have to go and get a serious manager. Whether that's Julian Nagelsmann, I don't know who it's going to be. But they're going to need to go for someone that has a really good track record. There's not many big name managers out there that are available. So they're probably going to need to go and spend big money on someone who's already at a club or a national team. Now, the guy that does kind of like he kind of strikes out to me is the prime candidate is Julian Nagelsmann. I think done a really good job at Leipzig, got the Bayern Munich job, and though he didn't win the Champions League and he did eventually get sacked, I think he's seen how much of a state Bayern were, even domestically, after he left. I think it was a massive mistake for Bayern to get rid of him. And I do think it was more than football reasons why they get rid of Julian Nagelsmann. But I think Manchester United need to go for a manager that's going to be on the front foot. And the only way they're going to get back to challenging for league titles and continental success is that they have to go for a manager that's brave and will go after any opponent. But also, they're also going to scrap most of this entire squad. I do think there are promising young players coming through who definitely need opportunities. Guys like Ahmed Diallo, who I think have massively impressed but haven't been given the chance under Erik Ten Hag at times, who has played players who have been completely out of form, like Marcus Rashford. So a lot of the teams going to need to get scrapped, and whoever the manager is that goes in there, whether it be Julian Nagelsmann or whoever it is, they're going to need to work with that squad until January, and even in January, they're not going to be able to get everyone they want. So they're going to have to work with this squad, and they're going to need to try and bring in an identity of what they want to do. But I think it's a good job for someone to come into, because they're basically at rock bottom right now, Manchester United. They're 14th in the league. They can't get any worse. And it's up to someone to come in and just bring them up the table. Now, the guy that they bring in, I think Manchester United are looking for this guy who's going to be the saviour, who's going to be here forever, and is going to win league titles like Alex Ferguson. I don't know if that's going to happen. Like, who knows? Maybe the guy they appoint can do that, but I think they just need someone to come in and basically bring them up to where they were a couple of years ago, which is basically a guy that gets them in the Champions League again, because they are so far off top four right now, in my opinion. I think teams around them have got so much stronger, and Manchester United have just got so much worse. So they need to just get up to the level where they're getting in Champions League again, which I think this season it's going to be extremely difficult to get top four. But I think making the sacking right now and bringing in a new manager, it does give them a chance to get top four, which I thought they had zero chance yesterday. But now that they've made the decision, they do give themselves a chance. They have a lot of time still to make up ground. They do need to make up a lot of ground, but there is still 29 games left of the season. So I mean, you never know. But the manager's gonna need to get a lot out of these players, who have not been very good for the last 2 or 3 years, and even players that have been there even longer than that who have been inconsistent. But if you're a Manchester United fan, I think you now have some hope, which I don't think there was any hope there under Erik Ten Hag. I feel like he was just surviving week to week. And he's now been put out of his misery, and it looks like the Manchester United fans have been put out their misery. So let me know who you think Manchester United should go for, and who do you think they're going to go for also, and were you behind Erik Ten Hag up until the end when he gets sacked, or have you been wanting them to get the bullet for quite a while now? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.